Have you ever wondered why your budget looks perfect in theory but falls apart in reality? Most of us live in a culture of leverage and credit, where saving money means swimming against the current. The average American saves only about 4% of what they earn. This means that out of every $100, $96 flies right back into the economy, leaving you with nothing but things that quickly lose value. But the problem isn't your discipline. The problem is the operating system that modern society runs on. We are surrounded by an architecture designed to make us spend unconsciously. The entire design of modern shopping is aimed at removing the pause between your fleeting desire and the transaction. One click, Face ID, autofill. All of this destroys the moment of choice. Yet, it is exactly in this short pause that your financial well-being lives. Look at your homes. The average American home contains about 300,000 items. We buy things we don't need to fill space we don't even own. But the most absurd part is the self-storage industry, which is valued at $38 billion. Think about it for a second. We pay huge money to rent square footage for things that don't fit into our homes. We work jobs we might not like, to buy things we don't use, and pay to store them where we can't even see them. This is the forgetfulness tax, a physical monument to unrealized value. Every box in a storage facility is your stolen hours of life, turned into dusty junk. Why are most budgeting apps useless? Let's take a hypothetical user. We'll call him Ryan. He earns $68,000 a year, the US average. He has the most advanced budget trackers installed on his phone. He occasionally checks them, feels guilty about his restaurants category, closes the app, and orders food delivery anyway. The problem is that digital tools are built to record your behavior, not change it. The app simply creates a detailed archive of your financial regrets, color-coded for your convenience. It shows data, but it doesn't evoke feelings. And human behavior is changed by feelings, not bare numbers. In the Western planning model, a budget is a math problem. Income minus expenses equals savings. But humans are not rational economic robots. We are emotional, impulsive primates who buy things for reasons we are too ashamed to admit even to ourselves, and then invent logical justifications for them. The biggest systemic error is the sequence: earn, spend, save what's left. The trap is that there is almost never anything left. Your perception of enough is not fixed. It adjusts to the amount you see in your account. If you see $1,000, your brain will find ways to spend exactly that amount. It's a biological adaptation that turns into a financial disaster in the modern world. We live in a culture of leverage. In the US, the average household holds only about 13% of its assets in real cash or savings accounts. Everything else is either tied up in the stock market, locked in retirement accounts you can't touch, or simply doesn't exist because people live on credit. This lack of liquidity makes us vulnerable. We pay a convenience tax every time we use a credit card for a purchase we can't afford right now. We pay for not waiting. But behind this facade of convenience lies emptiness. Let's return to the storage industry. It is the physical embodiment of the forgetfulness tax. We pay an average of $100 to $150 a month to rent a unit where we store old furniture, clothes we don't wear, and boxes we haven't even opened since moving. Over 10 years, this turns into $12,000 to $18,000, money that could be sitting in your account earning interest. Instead, it feeds boxes of junk. It's not just a waste of money, it's a waste of life energy. Every item you own requires your attention, space, and ultimately, your money to maintain it. The more things you have, the less freedom you have. We are used to thinking that technology makes our lives better by simplifying processes. In finance, it's exactly the opposite. The easier it is for you to spend money, the faster you lose it. Silicon Valley has spent decades and billions of dollars to remove the friction between your desire and a purchase. But if you want to keep your money, you need to artificially introduce that friction back. The first step to financial freedom in the digital world sounds wild, but it works. Delete all your card details from browsers and payment systems. When you have to get up, grab your wallet, and manually enter 16 digits, the expiration date, and the CVV code every single time, you create that 30-second pause. 50% of your impulsive purchases die in that pause. It's the time it takes for your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of the brain, to wake up and ask, do you really need this? Or are you just tired after work? But friction alone isn't enough. We need a tool for mindfulness. And here we turn to a practice the Western world has almost forgotten. We're talking about writing by hand. Neuroscientists' research shows that when we write on paper, our brain activates far more areas than when typing on a keyboard. When you write down an expense with a pen in a notebook, you live through that expense. It becomes real. A digital app will send you a notification that you'll swipe away in a second. But when you physically write down $15 for coffee and a sandwich I didn't even finish, you come face to face with reality. This isn't self-flagellation, it's taking back control. The Japanese method of Kakeibo, which has existed for over 120 years, is built exactly on this. 4 categories, 1 notebook, and an honest answer to a question at the end of the month. Did these expenses make me happier? Now, let's break down the main wealth-building mechanism used by the most financially stable people in the world. We already established that the income minus expenses sequence is a road to nowhere. We need to implement what the East calls Hara Hachi Bu for your wallet, the 80% principle. The premise is simple. You must learn to live on 80% of your income. But the secret isn't trying to save at the end of the month. The secret is taking your 20% the exact second the money hits your account. Before you pay rent, before you buy groceries, and definitely before you renew your streaming subscription. If you earn $5,000 a month, your real salary is $4,000. The remaining $1,000 is your fortress. You transfer it to a separate account that you don't have quick access to. You make it invisible. Why does this work? Because humans are incredibly adaptable creatures. If you have $4,000 left, your brain will adjust your needs to that amount. You will be more selective. You will start noticing that forgetfulness tax, and you will decline things you don't need. You won't feel deprived. You'll feel excited. Because for the first time in your life, you aren't working for money. Your money is starting to build the foundation of your freedom. In the modern consumer economy, there is no finish line. We've been conditioned to think that growth must be infinite. A bigger screen, a faster car, a more expensive subscription. But this process has a biological limit. There is a psychological phenomenon called hedonic adaptation. When you buy a new item, your happiness level spikes, but it very quickly returns to its baseline. A week later, a new smartphone is just a smartphone, but the loan for it stays with you for years. The Japanese concept of taru wo shiru teaches us the art of knowing what is enough. This is not a call to poverty or asceticism. It is a call to precision. If you drink water from a golden goblet, it won't taste any better than from a regular glass. But the cost of making a mistake in this choice is colossal. When you don't know your point of enough, you become the perfect target for marketing. You're easily convinced that you need a second pair of headphones, a third jacket, or a premium car trim that doesn't actually change your user experience. Every time you buy a little more than you need, you pay the tax for lacking a compass. You are spending money not on comfort, but on maintaining an image that was forced upon you. Let's move on to a practical inventory of your financial space. In America, there is a phenomenon experts call death by a thousand cuts. It's not one big purchase that ruins your budget, but hundreds of small, automatic charges that you've stopped noticing. Look at your subscriptions. The average American spends about $219 a month on streaming services, cloud storage, and apps they don't even use. That's over $2,600 a year. These aren't just numbers on a bank statement. It's the price of your time. If you earn $30 an hour, you work almost 90 hours a year, 2 full work weeks, just to pay for services you forgot to cancel. This is the forgetfulness tax in its digital form. Your inattention is someone else's income. To stop this leak, you need to apply the financial detox method. Once a quarter, zero out your subscriptions. Cancel everything. If a week later you realize you genuinely miss a specific service, bring it back. You'll be surprised at how many things turn out to be unnecessary. You'll discover that the silence and free space in your bank account bring more joy than the 100th TV show on your watch later list. The hardest concept for a Westerner to grasp is the value of nothing. Empty space in the closet, a free evening without shopping, money just sitting in an account, unspent. In our culture, unspent money is perceived as an unused resource. We feel it should be working, invested somewhere, or exchanged for something. But in a world full of chaos, the most expensive thing you can buy is peace of mind. Free capital in your account is your insurance against bad bosses, toxic relationships, and sudden crises. When you have a financial cushion equivalent to 6 months of expenses, you walk this earth differently. Your posture changes. You stop fearing tomorrow. And the irony is that this foundation isn't built from massive earnings, but from small refusals to pay the tax on your forgetfulness and someone else's greed. Now that we've dissected the system, it's time to build your own. This doesn't require heroic effort or an iron will. You just need to change your default settings. Your plan for the next 30 days looks like this. Step 1. Inventory the forgetfulness tax. Set aside one evening. Go into your bank transaction history for the last 3 months. Write down all automatic subscriptions. If you haven't used a service in at least a week, cancel it without a second thought. If you really need it, you can restore it later. But in 90% of cases, you'll simply forget it existed, and that money will stay with you. Step 2. Create artificial friction. Right now, delete your card details from Amazon, Apple Pay, and Google Pay. Make it so that every purchase requires a physical action from you. Finding your wallet and typing in the numbers, you'll be surprised how often laziness beats the desire to spend money. This is your natural safety fuse. Step 3. The 20% rule. On your next payday, transfer 20% of the amount to a separate account. Do this first thing. Don't wait until the end of the month. If you earn $4,000, pretend your salary is $3,200. Your brain will adapt. In 3 months, you'll stop noticing the difference in your standard of living, but you will already have a foundation that most people only dream of. Ultimately, it all comes down to one question. Do you own your things, or do they own you? The American dream often turns into the American trap, where success is measured by the amount of accumulated possessions. But true luxury isn't a new car model bought on credit. True luxury is the ability to say no, the ability to quit a job that sucks the life out of you, the ability to spend time with your family without worrying about bills, the ability to live in a space that breathes, rather than suffocating under clutter. Japan didn't build a culture of saving because its people are inherently more disciplined. They built it because they made the right choices natural and the wrong ones inconvenient. Motinai makes them feel uncomfortable with waste. Kakeibo makes spending tangible. Teruwo Shiru gives them a point of peace. You don't need to move to Kyoto or become a radical minimalist. You just need to take back control of the pause between I want and I buy. Buy a regular paper notebook, grab a pen, and start writing. Not for the IRS, not for the bank, but for yourself. Your wealth is not what you buy, it is what you keep. And every time you refuse to pay the forgetfulness tax, you take a step toward the most valuable asset in the world, your personal freedom. Apps will keep plotting graphs of your spending. Algorithms will keep feeding you ads. But the notebook waits. And your future begins with the first line written by hand.